Hello, this is Jeff Neville for Selective Imagery. It's been a while since I've had a video out. I apologize for that, but subject matter is tough right now after Hurricane Ian came through South Carolina, did a fair amount of damage to the parks and the piers and things of that nature. So wildlife's a little bit shook up right now. It's a little bit hard to get some images. But I'm going to share with you what I've gotten over the last couple weeks. And the title of this is Birds and Cars. And you're probably wondering, is this a horror movie as to what birds can do to cars? Absolutely not. It's just going to be two different segments. First portion talking about birds, and the second one sharing with you a car show that I went to that was for British cars, and that was using the 24-120 f4 Z mount lens, which is one of my favorite walk around lenses, and I think when you see the pictures you'll see why. So let's move on forward, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a like if you like it. If not, give me a comment as to what I can do to improve. Doesn't cost you anything to leave a like, my friends, so give me a thumbs up, give me some motivation to keep doing this stuff. So let's move on forward. In this first video clip, this is Sandpiper Pond. Now my back is towards the ocean. Normally you would never ever see this view, because basically there was a major washout due to the hurricane. It ruined the majority of the dunes on the beach, so now you have access to a side of the pond that you just couldn't get to before. So I mean, I guess that's good and bad. Birds that normally wouldn't see a person are now seeing people, so they may not like that too much. You can see the terns diving, hitting the water, and there's some snowy egrets and a few other birds hanging around. This is really early in the morning, and there's not really, that many birds here today. So you'll see some pictures of this same area on a different day where there were a lot of birds. There were a lot of spoonbills, there were a lot of ibis, there were a lot of snowy egrets, and some great egrets as well, and some great blue herons, tricolors, willets, yellow legs, all sorts of birds. So you're going to see that in some of the upcoming pictures. But this is just to show you an area that, like I said, normally, well, not normally, we never had access to this side of the pond. We start out on the beach heading towards Sandpiper Pond, where we come across this semi-palmated plover, followed by a couple images of a kingfisher in flight. And anybody that knows kingfishers know they're not the easiest things to catch in flight and get a decent sized image of them. These are actually cropped. These would probably be an 8x12. Then we run into a group of ibis that's hiding in some of the remaining grasses from the dunes. And then, here's a great egret along with some spoonbills. And another shot of the spoonbills hanging out together. And here's one that decided to pick up a stick for some reason, and then the other one is trying to steal it from him or her. That was kind of funny. Now we got a greater yellow legs with a fish in its mouth, and it goes down pretty good. This was the only one out there that day. Now we have a younger wood stork because the head doesn't look like a piece of aluminum foil that got beat up pretty bad. And here it is joining a crowd of ibis with the spoonbills in the background. And this is another entryway to Sandpiper Pond from the beach area. Wherever the dunes got knocked down, you have access. And here you have a great blue heron, and it looks like it's in a in a cavern. This is actually what got carved out. You can see the grasses on the top and the sky in the background. That got carved out from the hurricane. Here you have a willet hanging out with some snowy egrets. And here's a willet shot. Now I like to take shots through the grasses and whatnot. Some people don't like to do that, but I don't mind it. And here's a great egret in flight. And a tricolored heron. Once again, I have some of the brush in front of me. Great egret with its reflection, and this is near the beach. This is where water came in from the hurricane and created a whole new spot. And this is a juvenile black-bellied plover, from what I can find out. Along with, this is a shot of a willet in the same location, and this willet posed for quite a few pictures, and I like the reflection in the water. And don't be afraid to do verticals. A lot of people don't ever take vertical shots. Mix it up once in a while. Here's the same bird, you know, with its eyes closed and basically posing for me, and I got a few shots of it. And I just thought it was a very, very cute bird that was nice enough to be a good model. And then here's one of the few clumps of grass that survived after the hurricane. Most of this all got wiped out. There's this one lonely clump. And this is a different day with a beautiful sunrise. Absolutely stunning. Now here's a video clip of a willet feeding, and this is off the causeway, which is the main road into Huntington Beach State Park, and it's low tide, and it's basically wading through you know, the smaller sections of remaining water, and you can see the water movement from right to left, so the tide is still going out. And it's just trying to find something to eat. It does a lot of poking and prodding, and this has been slowed down. If this was at full speed, your head would spin how fast this bird is going through the water right now trying to find food. Now, eventually it goes into the muddier areas where there's just small little puddles, basically, and it will check out a lot of these puddles and try to find food. And more often than not, it doesn't get anything. I mean, eventually, you know, hopefully I'll remember where it does get some food to tell you, here we go. But for the most part, it doesn't work out. It's an awful lot of work, awful lot of effort, just to get a little bit of food. Going back to the slightly deeper water again. Very persistent, I'll give it credit. I think somewhere in here is where it finally finds a crab, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, right there. Right there, finally got something. Persistent pays off. I don't know how many crabs it has to eat, or worms or whatever, to make its stomach full, but That's an awful lot of work. Now we have a tricolored heron along the bank, and a kingfisher who's decided, well, it's going to read up on the park and read one of the placards here and learn a little bit about the park. Then this is a juvenile semi-palmated plover. In a great blue, it's nice enough to pose next to some colorful grasses. And here we have a young wood stork, once again, with a tricolored heron. And an ibis that has found itself some food and has decided to rinse it off. Here's a series of shots of a snowy egret that gets a fish, and a laughing gull in the subsequent pictures will show up trying to steal the fish from the snowy. The gull was very aggressive, but of course, you know, the snowy has a longer neck. It could keep the food item away, but that gull isn't too happy. He or she definitely wants that fish, but it's not going to happen. Eventually, the snowy just moves quickly away and swallows the fish, and that's the end of that. Now we move on to a video clip of the spoonbill, or this spoonbill, feeding. It will eventually meet up with a few friends. And then I have some subsequent pictures to show of the spoonbills, and a lot of the footage, and this is typical for this location, is I try to shoot them mostly when they're moving from right to left, because the sun is beating on them from the right hand side. So sometimes you can get a picture with their head going the opposite direction, but many times it just gets blown out and there's not much you could do with it. So you will see in some of the pictures where I have probably most of them with the head towards the left of the screen, and there will be a few towards the right. This is when you like a partly cloudy day, because it's not so brutal on a bird like this. It takes a little bit of fooling around in post to knock down the highlights and bring up the pink in the bird a little bit. But finally met up with a friend. And they do get along most of the time. They do predominantly eat shrimp. Here's where you're going to see a little fight, I think, somewhere in here. No. That must have been earlier. Sorry. So now you got some still images. Now I took quite a few of this particular spoonbill, because this is an older adult, and just like me, it's bald. And when you see them like this without feathers on the top of their head, they tend to have the best coloration. They have their feathers are pinker than the young ones, and their eye in particular is very, very pink. So to me, these are desirable age group. I guess I would say, to take pictures of these birds, because the color is so much nicer than the younger ones, which, you know, just don't have enough of the pink pigmentation yet. I like this pose, and as you can see, you know, it is facing the sun, so, you know, you got to do a little fooling around to make it look decent. And you got some gulls flying and diving for food. And here's a bunch of ducks that flew over. And eventually a brown pelican. And this is a younger one because it doesn't have the white hair with the yellow in it on the top of the head. And now we have a group of ibis that flew by as well. And this is the young wood stork. Like I said, it doesn't have that aluminum foil-like head. And I joke about this one and say this is someone that's still waiting for an answer when the park's going to get fixed. Now we're going to move on to a car show. This is a TR6. These are all British cars. This is a yellow Morgan. Side view with the driver just pulling in. And then we have a front view with him and his spouse. They're going to start wiping it down. You know the routine if you ever had a car at a car show. And when you do car shows, it's important to have a variety of shots. You know, take pictures of the interior when you can, and obviously if it's a convertible, that makes it a lot easier. This is a Triumph TR3, and most people try to get vintage luggage to go with the cars that they own. This is the front view of that car from Aruba. Like, holy cow. And even Snoopy decided to show up for the show. And, you know, I wasn't there very long. I didn't take as many shots as I would have. Here's a shot with the late Queen sitting in the car. This is a 67 Austin Mini Moke. And this is a Mini Cooper where the guy made a towable storage that looks like the front of his car. Really creative. That little attachment probably cost more than my car did. This is a 1960 Lotus Elite Type 14. And here's a guy that was just driving in with his MG. And everybody loves the Jaguars. I mean, I almost bought one of these when I was young until I did research and realized how much trouble it would be to tune them up. And here's a 1936 Rolls-Royce 2530 Sports Saloon. Beautiful car, to say the least. And the people I talked to, most of these people drove the cars here. They were not trailer queens. This is an Austin Healey 3000 Mark III. Beautiful car. And the Bug Eye Sprite, you know, I mean, these are great. I love the stripe, how it's going down that one headlight. It's really, really cool looking. Of course, these are all cars, if you've ever seen me on any of my videos, you know darn well I couldn't fit in any of these. But they're still fun to look at. This is a 1951 MG TD, so I took a series of shots. And I didn't do a lot of editing on these photos, minimal editing. And this was with the 24-120 f4 Z-mount lens, which is my favorite carry-around lens for street photography, car shows, things like that. I mean, it's just great. And this gentleman, you know, tried to get period correct luggage to put in the back of his car as well. And he's talking to my friend Bob from Bob R Photos, and I have a link to his channel. Check him out. He goes with me a lot. We take a lot of similar pictures, but you know, we don't all get the same shot. And he's a very good photographer, and please visit his channel and give him a thumbs up and watch some of his stuff. Nothing like the orange, huh? Now this is a newer Mini Cooper with a salute to the late Queen and the family, the cups and everything else, and the British flag. It's really cool to see how some people decorate everything. And this is a 1989 Land Rover Defender 110. And we end up with a beautiful blue bug-eye Sprite. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. And like I said, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, make comments. Until next time, get out there and shoot. Enjoy life, capture some of it.